No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Ooh, the gym. Old stomping grounds. Hank Patterson, fly fishing guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah. Nah, the kicker's probably taller and in a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end.
Squats. Yeah. Try it sometime.
Rowpaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. First up, he led the Broncos to 3 conference championships and 10 20-win seasons. It's Coach Leon Rice. Next, he's the founder and CEO of Rowpaint.com. He played a little basketball in high school on the driveway with his mom. It's Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
Now that I can do. When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. It's BJ Rains, Jay Tust. This is Bronco Nation News live here at BroncoNationNews.com. A Friday edition as we get you set for the spring game tomorrow. We'll discuss that, what you as fans should be looking for, what you're going to see. And frankly, Jay, I expected the entire show to be a spring game show until last evening when late afternoon got some unfortunate news for the basketball team. But I know you're juggling some things with your schedule, so appreciate you still making this happen. How we doing, man?
Yeah, kind of a shocker there, BJ. I really do think that was a shocker. And, I know we've said on the show in the past that, we were pretty certain that Chibuzo Agbo was going to return and be a Bronco next year. And every indication until, maybe within the last couple of days when things kind of shifted quickly, it seemed like that was going to be the case. But, I would say I'm surprised, but I think in the current landscape of college sports, that's your fault if you're surprised. In this case, it was my fault because anything can happen. And, well, that was kind of a bomb that, like I said, up until maybe a couple of days ago, I just did not see coming.
Chibuzo Agbo is what we're talking about, entering the transfer portal yesterday. All indications are he has some very lucrative offers to likely go elsewhere. And Jay, this is the first time really that, Taylon Green going in the football side, I think was expected to happen by a lot of people given the way the coaching staff used him last year. So I don't really put that in the same situation. I mean, this is the first time I can remember, at least on the football, men's basketball side. I know Jade Lavelle, women's basketball player, but I mean, for the most part, you're cutting me off though. You got one?
I do. I think it's Emmanuel Acott. I think that's the closest. That's the closest. And now I really racked my brain. And BJ, it didn't really hit me till last night, on the drive home, and I'm kind of thinking about it or whatever. And I was thinking, okay, yeah, Emmanuel Acott. Boise State, as an athletic department, for the most part, has done a really good job of battling the current environment within collegiate athletics. They can't offer top dollar, like they can't even come close to it, in all honesty. So they find other ways to make sure that this program is attractive and taking care of their student athletes. So very rare is it where, as you were just kind of saying, has a prominent player that is a key contributor transferred out of here without a flaw. And I guess what I mean by flaw, it's like, Hank Bachmeier. I don't think Hank Bachmeier's flawed, but like you could kind of tell like something was going to happen there, right? Yep. And it did. He transferred out. So I think the only kind of, scenario that's even remotely close to this would be like an Emmanuel Acott. And, that was a tough one. He transferred out, thought he was going to get big money to go to Memphis. Something fell through there. And by the time he wanted to reverse course and come back, who did Boise State sign? Chibuzo Agbo.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's kind of full circle. And, so Emmanuel didn't really have a spot. He goes to Western Kentucky, and that's where he spends his final season of collegiate eligibility. I am not saying that's going to happen to Chibuzo Agbo at all, but that's just kind of like the one scenario where I think it's somewhat relatable.
I had forgotten about him, but I mean, still, that's pretty good for the 4 or 5 years or whatever it's been of this 1 year transfer portal NIL. I mean, this was kind of the scenario that unfortunately I think Boise State fans thought was going to happen a lot. Like you find a guy at Texas Tech, you bring him in, you find a high school kid, you bring him in, whatever, you do the hard work, you develop them for a year or two, and then another school just swoops in and says, we'll pay you 5 times what you're making now, and you go do that. And so I think that this was, more expected to probably be something that would hurt them on the football side, like they held on to Ashton Genty, and let's be honest, we should say they've held on to. I mean, just I hate to paint it this way, but you've held on to him to this point. Yep. I mean, Boise State's offering him, I think, the 300,000, whatever that I know Mike Prater and we've all put out there, but I mean, you can't. We talked about this, I think, last week, Jay, or Tuesday, like. You're crazy if you don't think the same schools that were offering him 500,000 are now calling back saying we'll make it 850. Yep. Our second string running back just went down at Georgia in spring ball or whatever. So you still have him for a couple more weeks. I mean, I don't think anybody, as you said, saw this coming. Boise State has done a pretty good job, but unfortunately, the number I was hearing was 500,000. I think you were hearing something similar, or 5 times what he was making now. Like that's not. What can you do? Like I put it in my tweet last night. Like. It stinks, whatever. And I know a lot of fans are getting sour on college basketball, college athletics now, where because you didn't think this was going to happen if you're at Boise State. You really were excited about next year's team, and we'll spin it forward here in a minute. But just in general, like they've done a pretty good job of this, but this has always been the doomsday scenario. And in this case, Boise State did a great job developing him. He shoots 40% from 3 the last 2 years, and he's got 1 year left. He's got a chance to cash in for a lot of money. Boise State, I'm sure, tried to up their offer to keep him, but in this day and age, like they couldn't come close to that kind of money. And Chibuzo Agbo is gonna get that bag. It's the unfortunate side, and you just you hope that it's a once in a blue moon type thing here at Boise State, but unfortunately, it's probably not.
Yeah, it's probably not. And this is such a complicated topic to navigate, right? Because I mean, there's just a number of things we can address here. Now, one word that I saw that was thrown out there quite a bit on social media, right after this happened, was loyalty, right? Nobody has loyalty anymore. I think it's a very simple way to look at this, but it doesn't ever provide maybe the whole story. And I guess the best way that I could try to describe this, and this is generally speaking, not even necessarily just about this recent case, which it happened to be Chibuzo Agbo. It's there are so many influencers out there, or people that influence decisions and basically zero regulations, right? And there are people out there that have power and money that will get what they want. And they'll go to great lengths. And usually it's not the player going to those great lengths to get what they want, right? And so it's tough. Like it's tough. I know you can go ahead and question loyalty, but it's a lot more complicated than that. And in this case, you know, you found what seems like a really friggin' attractive number, BJ. That's life-changing money, people. Like, it is. And especially for an athlete like Chibuzo, like, he's going to go make money playing pro basketball somewhere if he wants to. Is it the NBA immediately? I don't know. Could it very easily be overseas where he makes good money? Definitely if he wants to. But either way, $500K, that's life-changing money. And so with 1 year to go make that, you know, I just don't know how you can fault somebody, BJ. I really don't. Like, the whole situation sucks. Don't get me wrong. And if he's coming back next year, like, yeah, I know Boise State hasn't won an NCAA tournament game before, but you look at what the roster they would have with him on it, and you're like, could be a team in the Sweet 16, and that's just not the case anymore.
And you know, we could maybe make this a topic for next week when we're just badly needing stuff to talk about, because there's a bigger picture, and I know we're up against the clock a little bit. You got a big field trip today, but so we don't have a ton of time. But I think the bigger picture, we saw it with Eric McAllister, that, you know, it was pretty much a done deal at TCU before he even entered the transfer portal. You see this with Chibuzo Agbo. It's not supposed to happen this way, and I don't know how you do it. I mean, some of this is even technically legal because you're going through third parties and you're not actually, you know, presenting him the number, but they know the number. Sometimes it's just straight out illegally done, whether it be through DMs or reaching out through parents. And my understanding was, you know, just an agent or somebody got in his dad's ear and his ear and told them and they just heard what they wanted to hear. And keep an eye on USC, by the way. That was a school that maybe came to my attention that we were on it with TCU, and the one school that I had heard as maybe a possibility to keep in mind is
I didn't know if we were going to go there yet. But I would say you're probably right.
Oh, you've heard that as well. Okay. Eric Musselman, you know, making friends in Boise, I guess, reaching back into his Mountain West roots. We'll see what happens there. That was just one that I'd heard to keep an eye on. So I was going to say Chibuzo Agbo in the Pac-12, but what are they now? Big Ten. Chibuzo Agbo in the Big Ten. Now that's an interesting one. But he's a San Diego kid. That would have been, that's always the worst. Like if he'd have gone to San Diego State or something. But he is a Southern Cal kid, and we'll see what happens with that. But I just with the tampering and all this, and it's just it is what it is. But I mean, the system, just something has to. It's just crazy. There's 2,000 kids in the transfer portal for basketball. It's even worse for football, and the tampering, and just you're you know, in a handshake line after a game, and you know, and you know, next thing you know, you're the same kids playing on your team a couple months later, and it's just the whole in-conference thing is crazy too. I mean, Xavier Dussel went from Wyoming to Fresno, and now two of his finalists are Nevada and San Diego State. Like, he might play for 3 Mountain West schools. The money is what it is. I just wish there was a little better way without all this. But we knew it was going to happen this way. I mean, there was no chance it wouldn't, but I just hate the tampering part of it, and where a lot of these times kids already know where they're going before they leave, and the whole thing kind of stinks. Yeah.
And you're right. Like, maybe this is like a more extended conversation we can have in the weeks to come, is, you know, some of the storylines staring us right in the face, you know, in the immediate future, even in the present for that matter, are worth more time on right now. But I want to conclude with at least this for now. And I know that you know this too, BJ. Chibuzo Agbo is he is a genuine dude. Like, he was always very honest. I feel like transparent and just genuine with us. I really do believe that. And I think that guy loved Boise. He loved Boise State. I think he loves his teammates. I think he loves his coaches. And I just think, like I said, there are other influences right now in college sports that can you know, cast a shadow over all that, or make you doubt it, or whatever it might be, but push you in another direction. But like, I can promise you, like, the kid loved being here. Like, he did. Like, I know that he loved this city, loved this program, loved all of it. But there are just things now that happen in the NCAA that influence people. That's all. That's kind of all I got.
Let's spin this forward.
Yes.
Next, they now have 3 spots in the transfer portal. They already were going to they were definitely trying to find a center. My understanding is there's at least one center, transfer center visiting this weekend. They're going to have some other guys visiting in the next, coming week. So they're already looking for a center. They had another spot, which some of us, like myself, are already saying they might need another shooter anyway. But now they're definitely, you would think.
What's Xavier DeSalle up to?
Yeah, no joke, man. Because now you look at it, and I do think Andrew Meadow, I know he's listed as a forward, but he can shoot the ball. He's going to be a guy that, whether it's at the 2 or the 3, however it shakes down, this, obviously opens up just playing time in general for guys like Andrew Meadow, RJ Keene. I know they're still very high on, but I think even like a Pearson Carmichael, a true freshman, a shooting guard that comes in, averaging 30 points a game in high school is going to have a chance at a bigger role. I do think Boise State, likes the guys that they have and the options they have, and they can do some different things now with Roddy and Cardenas together. And I do think they like that, but and I have no doubt some of those guys are ready for bigger roles, Jay, but you just lost 150 made 3-pointers with Agbo and Rice. You throw in Jace Whiting, Kobe Young, Cam Martin, the guys that all left. You have 33.3% of your 3-point percentage back. I felt like Jay Tust scribbling out the math earlier on this, getting a Tust stat. But you have 86 of whatever it was, 200 and something threes coming back. And so with Max and your 2 best by far 3-point shooters gone with Max and Agbo, I think you've got to address that in the transfer portal now. And my understanding was they weren't even really looking at kind of the shooting guard type thing. And now all of a sudden they're having to go back to the list in the portal and go, all right, who's available now? I think you have to. You can like Meadow as much as you want. You can like Keene. You can like Carmichael, Lockett, however you want to do the Cardenas thing, fitting in with Roddy. But I think you've got to now address the guard spot in the transfer portal.
I'm right there with you. I think when you had all those options to try to figure out one spot, that you were okay with that, but now to figure out 2, that just seems a little more daunting with what you have available, right? I am right there with you. I think that they really do like some of their options. You look at Preston Carmichael as a scorer. The kid scored 50 points in a high school game, and I know that's a high school game, but I don't care what you're playing. 50 points in 32 minutes or however many he logged that game is really, really impressive. He had multiple
5 40-point games this year.
Exactly. So he is a very impressive scorer, and I think a reason why if you could pick and choose, you probably pick him, because he has the most eligibility remaining, but you pick him too because you go back and you look at Tyson Degenhart. You worked him into the starting lineup as a true freshman. He became the face and the identity of your program shortly after that. And so with Tyson now only having 1 year of eligibility left, you have to find who you can pass that torch to, because as long as Tyson Degenhart or a player like Tyson Degenhart is at Boise State, then you got a program. He is a guy that gives you more than just a team, more than just a player. He gives you a program. And so they always need to make sure that they are replacing that type of player with somebody, down the pipeline.
I'll just say this, I think we all 99.9% assume Tyson Degenhart's back next year. Doesn't seem like that kind of kid, whatever, but I thought the same thing about Chibuzo Agbo. So I don't think we can ever, until we hear it from Tyson, which next Thursday is the deadline for the draft entry. Yeah. I still think there's a chance both Tyson and Omar Stanley could at least put their name into the draft like Agbo did. I still expect both those guys back next year. I would say Tyson's way more likely if I had to pick one or the other. I do know that Omar Stanley is getting hit up in the portal a ton too, from what I heard, which shouldn't be a big surprise. Yep. But to this point, he has proven loyal and fended off some interest from other schools. But that's just the way it is. We see it with football. It started out in football with high school recruiting. You'd lose a guy, a night before the signing day, and you just go, "Oh, who's the next guy on Boise State's list?" And all of a sudden, a kid who'd never even visited or talked to USC. Oh, well, I'll go to USC. It happened, yeah. But now it's just so crazy. It's oh, we need a shooting guard. Let's go find who leads the nation in threes. Oh, let's go with him. It's just, it is crazy. And so I'm not going to say 100% on anybody until the portal closes and those guys do it. But with what you said about Degenhart, we expect him back. I expect Stanley back. I still think this team has a chance to be really good next year. And let's be honest, you got to give a little trust to Leon Rice and company in the transfer portal here. Like, look at a lot of I mean, they found a Chibuzo Agbo, and he was a double-digit scorer 2 years in a row. They found an Omar Stanley. They found all these. I mean, Emmanuel Acott, you mentioned.
They went and got Chibuzo when he was averaging 1 point a game at Texas Tech. And he was the guy. The sky was falling because Emmanuel Acott left. And it was like, oh, God, who do they replace him with? And they went over and they found this kid that was from San Diego averaging a point per game or whatever it was at Texas Tech. So give them a chance to counter this year and see what they do. But yeah, BJ, this was a bit of a learning lesson, and I'm sure that we'll have to learn the lesson again. But I was very, very confident in Buzo coming back, and that's why, like you say, even a guy like Tyson, this is not a knock on him or anything that any assumption that anybody should make.
Yeah,
but just the way that I got to approach this moving forward now, it's never 100 until the portal's closed and it's 100.
Yeah.
In this case, it can never be more than 99.9 because as long as there's always going to be somebody that's going to try to influence you and change your mind. And this is one of those cases, I personally believe.
I will say this, Jay. I think people know, Tyson Degenhart does have a contractual show on Bronco Nation News. He has a sponsor, Idaho Central Credit Union. The original plan as part of his deal was for him to make an announcement on his future on his own show, and that is still tentatively planned for next week. You can read into that what you want, but I believe next Wednesday is the night that has been targeted for Tyson to make some sort of announcement. Thursday is the draft deadline day. I'm certainly not going to steal his to enter the, and then he can pull his name out by June, which I would think makes the most sense. Why not? But I'm not here to steal anyone's thunder. And we hear a lot of stuff that sometimes we want to get it out there. Sometimes it's, let the kid make his announcement about his future. And so I'm hoping that Tyson's able to do that. And selfishly thankful that he's got a platform here on BNN that we might get a chance to have it on there. So we'll see what happens next week. But when we talked after the season last week, and I've heard nothing different. That was tentatively the plan with Idaho Central Credit Union, was for him to do one more show next week and announce his intentions for next season. I don't think he would come on his own show on a BSU thing and say he's leaving or transferring. But I mean, I guess you never know in this day and age. But yeah, I would just say final thing on this, Jay, trust the coaches. It might take a little time now because, like I said, they were not even looking at the shooting guards in the portal. But again, you go down the line with guys that had stats at previous places and some guys that didn't. I mentioned Abu Kijab, very similar to Agbo, coming in backup guy elsewhere, 1 point a game, whatever it was, 2 points at Oregon. You can go down the line with Armouche and Shaver and all the different guys that they've found. They've proven that when they bring in a transfer, Cam Martin, shoulder was hurt, whatever. But I mean, Roddy Anderson to finish doing what he did, Omar Stanley, and I'm missing a lot of guys. But you go back to the last 4 or 5 years, some of the transfers that they've brought in, they have not missed on very many of these immediate eligibility transfers that they've brought in. Even going back to like the Christian Sengfelder and Lexus Williams and all those kind of guys. Ronnie, what was the guy from Boston College? Lonnie Jackson. I mean, they found a lot of transfers that have come in and play. So they need a backup center, and I guess they could, if they find a center good enough to start, shuffle the lineup around now that they have a starting spot available. But we'll see what happens. There is some visitors this weekend. There'll be some movement in the portal. And then when is the portal close, Jay? End of April? 30 days after the Final Four, I think, or something. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's May 1st.
So you got about 10 more days to hang on, I guess, for now, at least, if you're a Boise State fan, for the guys that you have. Jay, I do, in the final couple of minutes we have here, I want to talk about the spring game tomorrow and preview that. But I do need to thank a couple of our sponsors real quick. Appreciate our friends at Cutwater Spirits. More than 35 flavors, premix premium cocktails. You can pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. Perfect for that pregame tailgate tomorrow for the spring game. Make sure you pick up a Cutwater Spirits. Our title sponsor is wrapup.com. Interior, exterior painting of your home, your garage, that floor coating, back patio, basement, you name it, and residential, commercial, industrial, all your painting needs. Highly recommend our title sponsor. Check them out. ROEpaint.com. Make sure you tell them that you heard about it on Bronco Nation News. They'll hook you up with a sweet deal. I mentioned Idaho Central Credit Union. There's Tyson Degenhart right there. Stay tuned next week. Potentially the final episode of the season. We'll wrap up the season and see if there's any news on Tyson Degenhart's future moving forward. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com, the most efficient, easy online mobile banking you'll ever find. Check them out, iccu.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. 13 Idaho locations. Not to make you jealous, Jay, but I'll be hanging out with Mr. and Mrs. Ridley tomorrow night at the Idaho Youth Sports Commission dinner. They're coming and sitting at our table, so looking forward to that. And Kelly is actually working with Matt and our realtor, and I highly recommend Kelly and Matt and the whole team there at Bousher Real Estate, the number one ranked realtor for a reason. Got our got our home sold in 7 days, got us above asking price, got us some incredible add-ons. I can't begin to tell you seeing Matt work his magic. It's pretty impressive. So there's a reason he's number one. Highly, highly recommend Matt Bousher and Company. When you reach out to his team, let them know you heard about it on BNN. And again, they'll take care of you at Idaho Central Credit Union, at Bousher Real Estate, at Row Paint, all of our great sponsors. Please support them and help this thing keep rolling. I'm going to list a couple more here, Jay, and just get this thing over with. Appreciate our friends at Lithia Ford of Boise as well. 5 NIL deals, now 6. They've added Jonah Dalmas, a 6th NIL deal at Lithia Ford of Boise. So check them out, lithiafordboise.com, and they're sponsoring that hole-in-one at the golf tournament. You win a free car if you get a hole-in-one on May 31st at the BNN golf tournament. So thanks to Jim Sturk, everyone at Lithia Ford of Boise. Check them out, lithiafordboise.com. Taco Bell, you need free food, you need some quick cash. Well, how about a job at Taco Bell? That's what they give you. Free food while you work, and you get half your wages the very next day after your shift. So check them out, TacoBellWorks.com, to get more information and find out about all their charitable giving efforts in the Treasure Valley, thanks to the SON management and the Nicolason family. The BlueandOrangeStore.com, Travis Hawks, BlueandOrangeStore.com, free shipping, any order over $40. And again, if you're in the Boise area, just go to the Boise Town Square Mall, the second floor next to Pro-Image there. All your jerseys, caps, bumper stickers, car flags, all that great stuff. They got it at the Blue and Orange Store. Check them out, theblueandorangestore.com. And if you need a job, how about the trucking industry? Transportation Compliance Service, transcomservice.com. They help you get the permits and things, the overweight, DOT, all the permits you need to become a truck driver and get out there towing that first load in no time. They can help you out. And very affordable and get you out there. Over 75% of folks that try to do it themselves end up going out of business. So let the folks at Transportation Compliance Service help you out. Again, transcomservice.com. All right, Jay, in the final minutes we have here, the spring game. Going to be a little unique style tomorrow. The first half is not going to be tackle. It's going to be a wrap-up. A lot of guys are out injured. There's only a limited number of plays. One of the reasons they're doing this also is so Ashton Genty can be out there for the fans. So you're not going to see Ashton Genty get tackled, but you're going to see Ashton Genty run the ball a little bit, which is always fun to do. And I don't think we were expecting him to be out there much, if at all. Maybe a punt return or something. But due to this first half change where it's just going to kind of be wrapping him up and first contact, not quite full tackle, but they still a little physical. And fans will see that tomorrow. But you do get to see Ashton Genty out there tomorrow, Jay, which is a nice carrot for fans that come to the spring game tomorrow.
Well, I think this is actually Ashton doing, the defense a little bit of a favor, because if you can't tackle Ashton Genty, then we can't talk about bad tackling, because all he does is break tackles, right?
So I can see that.
He was one of the best in all of college football last year at it, right? So now it's a really smart approach. I mean, they've done this with Ashton pretty much all spring, right, BJ? They've kind of limited him. They've been very deliberate and intentional in what he's done so far. But he looks freaking great, man. And everybody you talk to says that he has a presence. His leadership is now off the charts. Yeah, I think he's had a really, really impressive spring. So looking forward to the spring scrimmage. And
it's not just him, by the way, though. I do want to say this: like they didn't just make the first half non-tackle for Ashton Genty. I mean, that is a added bonus, certainly, to see him out there. But they just really have had a really nice spring, and they just don't want to risk really anybody getting injured. So when you get to that second half and it's all tackle, it's going to be mostly backups and things in there probably for a good chunk of the second half. But I think this is a way for fans to still see some of the players that, if it was tackle, they probably would hold out, like a Matt Lauder. But some of these guys just don't need to be out there. I mean, Chris Marshall's only been back for a couple of days. If it's wrap-up type stuff, you could probably put him out there. If it's full tackle, I don't know if you do. So we'll see how they do that. But and maybe for fans, they would rather see the full take them to the ground tackle. I don't think it's going to be that much different. But I think it allows you to see Ashton and a few guys you may not have seen otherwise.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You don't want to get to this point in the spring and then jeopardize somebody's summer leading into fall camp and the season. I mean, this is now like we're getting into the important part of time where you start to really build towards next season when it comes to just your simple health, right? But it is a chance to, get fans fired up and see what the team looks like this year. And I think it's been a pretty smooth spring practice. I wish we had some clarity on the quarterback situation, but I think that thing is just going to wage right on into the summer, into fall camp, and right up to, almost the season opener. Because usually about 2 weeks before the game and with 2 weeks left in fall camp, you got to make a decision because that's where you need to start game prep and reps just become so much more limited. But it's been a good, fun fall camp. I have a lot of confidence about the offensive line, BJ. I really do. It kind of was a strong part of the team last year. And you look at guys like Ben Dooley and Mason Randolph and Cage Casey, Roger Carrion all coming back. Like, that is such a great foundation to build off of. And then, Ashton Genty's running behind those guys, which when we talked with Ben Dooley the other day, it was funny because we were asking him, how things are going. And, he kind of gets into his answer a little bit, and then he just goes, shoot, and we have Ashton Genty running behind us. So.
Yeah, it makes it look a little easier. Yeah, he'll make any offensive line look good. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I liked how he talked about how he has his old man body, because we all know how that is. We go to the gym, we don't feel quite as good the next day as we did 10 years ago.
It was hilarious. Yeah, he went in and he goes, when I was a youngster and first got here, some of the fifth and the fourth, fifth, 6 year guys, they were taking, snaps off or reps off or practices off. And he's like, I always just thought that they were soft. Now he's in their shoes and he was like, man, I feel like I need it. I get it now. Like I got an old man's body. And it's funny because he's like 22 or 3 or whatever, like just wait a few years there, brother. But just learning the maintenance is important, especially.
Okay, so we got the O-line, and again, a couple of the starters won't be out there, but you'll be able to see right tackle, see some guys battle in there. There's some injuries there too of guys that are expected to be in the mix, but definitely keep an eye on the offensive line. Definitely keep an eye on Genty while he's out there. Don't be late, or you may miss Ashton Genty. I'll just say that while he is out there. But we're
incentive. No, get there early if you want to see Ashton Genty on a T-shirt. Because they're giving away 750, right?
Yep.
So if you get there, if you want any part of Ashton Genty, you got to be one of the first 750 through the door.
By the way, I thought it was just kind of a little joke. I mean, I'm not a funny person, but once in a while I put a tweet out there that kind of makes me chuckle. And I actually was pretty proud of myself with my tweet that took on way more than I thought it would when I showed a picture. John Mallory was taking a drink of Gatorade at practice, and I said the rumor has it that he deprived Ashton Genty from getting a cup of Gatorade after practice because he was taking.
What you're here to reveal is true,
huh?
What you're here to reveal is true.
I thought it was pretty funny, and there were some good folks in there giving Johnny a hard time for that. And I was funny. We're at practice, and I look over, and there's Johnny just pouring himself a cup of Gatorade on the Powerade on the sidelines, and I just thought that was
careful with that funny. One.
Right. Yes. But final thing here or two for you, Jay, just real quick. We got to go. But just in general, O-line, obviously, running backs, I think, as a group, obviously, if a fan is going to the spring game tomorrow and they've either got their roster in their hand or whatever, who are a couple of guys or a couple of positions that, based on what we've heard this spring, that you think fans should be turning their attention to, whether it be during the drills before the scrimmage or the scrimmage itself? What are some areas to watch or storylines for you for fans?
Okay, outside of like a bunch of the obvious starters that are coming back, like I'm not going to say 20 Ty Benefield because he's going to be outstanding as a Bronco. Maybe I'm even pushing it here with this one, given what I just said, but 81 Austin Bolt. We have heard he has had just rave reviews so far about what he's done this spring. And I expect him to cap it with an outstanding spring scrimmage. One on the defense, and this is a guy that we continue to talk about as well. Keep an eye on 24. And I'm not talking about Ken Griffey Jr., who was on the sidelines at practice on Thursday.
I was going to say that's probably where a lot of people's eyes are going to be on the sidelines tomorrow at the spring game for sure.
I'm talking about Jeremiah Irby, who is making a solid play to be a starting cornerback. He has forced turnovers. He has had pass breakups. He's the real deal that they appear to grab out of the transfer portal from Cal. I've been very, very impressed with Jeremiah Irby so far this spring.
I would say, or maybe this is another topic for next week, but if you had to pick like the all all spring team or like the 5 guys we've heard the most about that we've seen
we
do
already
the most.
found next week's topic.
I think he's on that list. I think Sire Gaines is on that list.
Sire, and people are going to interpret this. I don't want people to interpret this the wrong way that like it's a knock on Breezy Dubar, because it's not. But Sire Gaines is going to push Breezy Dubar, and I think Breezy Dubar is really, really good. People like Breezy Dubar could start at a lot of places, but that's how impressive Sire Gaines has been.
I think Matt Lauder is on that list.
Absolutely.
I think
Matt Lauder might lead the list.
Hall Schmidt is probably on that. I mean, we'll do this next week and get into it more. But there's been some names that have really stood out. Supposed to be good weather. Should be nice tomorrow, Jay. I know KTVB will obviously have full coverage. They are going to allow fans after about a 15, 20-minute cooling off period down onto the field so you can meet, get autographs, meet your favorite players. So make plans for that if you're coming to the game to come down afterwards and hang out on the board, throw a football around. I don't think so tomorrow. Nope, we got some other kids' friends' birthday parties and things like that tomorrow, and a lot going on.
You're not missing a baseball game, are you, there, Coach? Like,
no, I would have if it were. I would have missed one for sure if it was the day of if it was when it was supposed to be last weekend. So the fact that the game was moved to the 20th actually was a benefit from that standpoint for me.
The opposite predicament for me.
I understand that, and it's not ideal either. Like I said, we normally would do a 2-hour post-game show, blow it up. We can't. I've got the Idaho Youth Sports Commission dinner that we give a lot of money for the golf tournament at, and so we're going to be there with that. So, but I hear you, and it is what it is. And a lot of people's schedules were already planned, and a lot of the former alumni coming back had to rebook their tickets for the new weekend. It's been challenging, I think, for everybody, but should be fun. Again, 1:30. I think the parking lot's open at 11 a.m. if you're going to tailgate and hanging out, and we'll hopefully see some of you just around there in and out of the stadium. We are doing a pregame show. I don't know yet if it's at the James or in the stadium. We're working out some of the logistics on that, but we'll at least get you some sort of preview. And then I'm looking at a Sunday evening show maybe to wrap up the spring. But again, KTVB will have you covered all the various newscasts Saturday night postgame with all the comments and highlights. We'll talk to Spencer after that. And going to be fun. Wrapping up with this is practice 15. Sometimes it's practice 14. They do another one on like Monday, but this is the final practice of the spring. And then we start I guess Monday morning with our player number 67 on our countdown as we try to get through the rest of April, May, June, and July till football season. But should be fun on Saturday, Jay. Great weather. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here, man. It'll be a fun way to cap off the spring, and then we head on to the summer. And man, I tell you, I don't know, as the older I get, well, I mean, I'm not getting any younger. It feels like the summer just continues to condense. I mean, we got media days in early July. Then 2 weeks later, fall camp begins. For me this year as an NBC affiliate, we got the Olympics to worry about. So you going? Not going, but I'll probably be in Eugene for the time trials for the United States Track and Field Championships. That is in late June. So yeah, this summer is going to be a condensed one. It's going to be a busy one for sure. And you got the BNN golf tournament on May 31st, probably the highlight of all of them. So we're down to our final 4 foursomes in the morning. If you want to play golf and CJ Tust, just stripe 3 fairways to the right, but it goes about 350 yards. Come on out. Rains at BroncoNationNews.com. You can email me or BroncoNationNews.com/golf. We'd love to have you. A couple of foursomes left. Going to be a lot of fun there on May 31st. Jay, appreciate you. Have fun on the field trip to the I guess I can't say where. I don't know. We want to divulge your location, but you're taking the kindergartner on the school vacation. Nothing better than being a chaperone for the school vacation. And when you walk in, you go to the check-in, you get the name tag, and then when you walk in your classroom and your kid sees you and comes running over to you, it's kind of always a fun time. So I'm not gonna take for granted that I'm still cool in her eyes. Like I'm never gonna take that for granted, because I know there's one day where I won't be. So I think when Jay Tust walks into his kids, and shows up as a chaperone, I mean, there's probably 5 other parents wanting to talk Boise State football with her the whole time. Well, it probably goes both ways. I know there are a couple dads in my class. They played football at various schools around the state. There you go. So yeah, it's a way for us to kind of get out of things at times.
Have fun with that. Enjoy being a dad, Jay. Appreciate you for making this happen. Thank you to all you guys for checking us out. Go support the sponsors. Go subscribe. And again, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll have more details on social media on the time and place for our pregame show. I'm sorry I don't have it. We're still working on some logistics, but should be fun. It's going to be a fun Saturday. Beautiful weather for the spring game. And Jay and Brady and company will have you covered at KTVB, and we'll have you covered, as always, Bronco Nation News at bronconationnews.com.